I knew it was wrong, and I felt like if I told anybody, I would get in big trouble.
Dana Vasquez was 6 when financial troubles forced her parents to move from the suburbs to a drug-infested neighborhood in Stockton, California. They were often too busy for their only child.
I just felt invisible. My dad was always working, and so he was never home, so I didn't even really know him. And then my mom was, she was in church all the time. So when I was out in the neighborhood, I was just kind of like defenseless.
What was going on was Dana was often left on her own, making her an easy target for the other kids in the neighborhood.
So it was either I was getting molested or I was getting beat up and robbed for my stuff. I felt helpless, powerless, like there was no one there to protect me, like I wasn't worth protecting.
Dana would endure the abuse for 5 years until her family moved to a better neighborhood. Although she attended church with her mom, the now 11-year-old was too ashamed to tell anyone, not even God.
I think with the sexual abuse, it was like this dark corner of a closet in my mind, kind of like, I'm not gonna even talk to God about this because I know how bad it is.
Despite the move, life didn't get much easier for Dana. At school, she was still bullied, by one girl in particular. One day, she couldn't take the humiliation and pain anymore.
There she was with a whole group of people waiting to fight me, and I lost it. I beat her up to the point where she was crying out for help. And when I realized I could protect myself, like I was all in with that. I invested into that whole gangster girl mentality because it felt powerful. It felt like, wow, that's who I'm gonna be.
In 8th grade the following year, Dana was expelled for fighting. For the next 5 years, she hung out in the streets with other dropouts and gang members, drinking and getting high.
It made me feel like I had a family that loved me. There's this twisted loyalty out there where it's like, you protect me, I'll protect you. And I really thrived in that.
By 18, Dana had fallen in love with a man who ran with a gang. Even though it was a violent, volatile relationship, she was desperate for the attention.
I wanted someone to love me, but I was never the girl that got picked. And so when he picked me, I felt really special. Like, look at this gangster guy, he wants to spend time with me and he's interested in me. And so I felt wanted for the first time.
Despite her newfound self-worth, Dana sank deeper into addiction.
I started doing meth, which really increased the violence in my life. It helped me forget. I hated being sober.
Then at 19, she got pregnant. Hopeful a baby would give her a chance at a normal life with her boyfriend, Dana was devastated when he wasn't ready to settle down. Then her baby was born, and for a while, Dana found a renewed sense of purpose and hope.
When I first saw my son and his little eyes looked up at me, it was just like, wow. In the beginning, it was like, I got this. This is gonna be okay.
Before long, though, she couldn't resist the lifestyle and pain she had hoped to leave behind.
Ever since I had my son, I wanted something different, but I was selfish, and I just wanted to keep numbing myself.
For the next 6 years, Dana indulged herself in the street life, fighting and abusing drugs, while her parents raised her son. Then in 2006, at 26 years old, she started to realize how empty her life was. She'd been hopping from one party house to another, looking for drugs. While she didn't find any, she did see something else.
Every time they answered the door, I could see in them the same hopeless look and the same depression, the same just despair that I was walking in. This misery everywhere I went.
On the bus ride home, Dana had a tearful conversation.
I was like, Lord, I don't know how to be a good mom. I don't know how to be a good anything. I don't know how to quench all this stuff going on inside of me. And if you can change me, please help me. And if not, I just want to die. I gave everything to God. All the despair and the guilt and the anger and everything I had felt and been quenching with drugs and partying and fighting. It was like at that moment, he took all that away and I was just left there with myself, and it overwhelmed me to the point where it was like, oh my gosh, I just broke. I need God. I can't do this anymore.
Dana says in the coming few months, God took away her desire for drugs and violence as she found forgiveness and unconditional love through Jesus Christ.
Knowing I'm loved by God, it changes the places I go. It changes the decisions I make. Because I know I'm loved, I want to love him back. And I want to please him. And so that changes my whole life because I know I'm God's.
Dana eventually took over raising her son, and they grew close over the years. She also met and married Anthony. She says of all the things God has done for her, one stands out.
Because God loves me, everything that was so ugly and rotten inside of me is gone. And he makes me worthy because he's beautiful and he's lovely. And because he is, that makes me the same thing because he's in me.